Harry Potter is riddled with conflict and evildoers, you might say. In every book, there's a new conflict and new characters for us to hate. And while most might tell you the most hated or evil character is Voldemort, or the most hated or evil character is Umbridge, I'm here to tell you one character that a lot of people don't say, a character that I think people just genuinely forget about. Like, they just never put him in these conversations. And that person is Peter Pettigrew, aka Wormtail. And Wormtail is a very fitting name for him, because he's squirmy and slippery. Despite the fact that he's a very below average wizard, yes, even taking into account him being an animagus, because you're not going to convince me he didn't have the utmost help from his friends. And I believe he was the last one to even do it in the first place. So while a great feat, yes, not good enough to make up for everywhere else. And everyone else said he was also a below average wizard, so yeah. But he was still able to constantly elude capture for 12 years. And even before that, he was a spy for Voldemort, and no one suspected him at all. And it's that right there that might make him the most evil character in the entirety of Harry Potter. You see, he was protected and taken care of his entire way through school by his friends, by the Marauders, by James, Sirius, and Lupin, because he was fat, not the best on looks, and an extremely bad wizard. Maybe I'm over-exaggerating on the extremely bad wizard part, but Maybe incompetent is more the correct way to say it. But even after all that was done for him by his best friends that he grew up with for years, he still gave them up to Voldemort to save his own skin. He didn't go out for help. He didn't go talk to Dumbledore about this. He caved immediately the moment he was in any kind of danger, and that's dangerous. Can you imagine growing up with one of your siblings and they just sell you out after all you've been through, after taking care of them, after making sure they're okay, after protecting them from every bully and anyone that could ever come their way? Can you imagine them just selling you out, or you doing the same to them? That's horrible, right? That's evil. And while some might say it's a stretch to say he's more evil than Voldemort, I can see your case there, but I can say he's just as evil. You see, out of all we know about Peter Pettigrew, he only ever had one redeeming moment. One moment where he thought maybe he was doing something wrong. One moment where he thought, I can't be doing this. That moment was in Malfoy Manor in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. You see, they handled this differently in the movie and the book. In the movie, they left it up to your own thoughts as to what happened to Wormtail. Because while Harry, Ron, Luna, Ollivander, while all of them were trapped in Malfoy Manor, Wormtail came down the stairs, opened the gate, and he was stunned immediately, letting the rest of them escape. But in the books, they actually had a little bit of a fight with Wormtail, and then they told him that he owed him. Harry told him that he owed him for saving his life. And if you don't know what I'm talking about now, I'm talking about in Prisoner of Azkaban when he stopped Sirius and Lupin from killing him.
No! Harry, this man...
I know what he is, but we'll take him to the castle.
And it's in that very moment that Harry says that Wormtail hesitates to kill Harry, or he hesitates in general from carrying out his orders that he was given from Voldemort and from the other Death Eaters. And right as he hesitates, his hand that got cut off, that Voldemort gave him back, started strangling him. And Harry and Ron tried to help him. They tried to get the arm off of his neck, but it didn't work. And he ended up strangling himself to death, I guess. And besides that very moment, there's nothing else redeemable about him. You see, Wormtail's always been a coward. We found out in Prisoner of Azkaban that it was actually Wormtail that gave up the Potters, his very best friends from school. And this all started when the Potters were told that they were targets of Voldemort. Voldemort was going to come after them, or could be. So it's at that moment that Dumbledore suggested that they have a secret keeper for where they'll be staying at. And having a secret keeper means that you cannot know the location of a place unless the secret keeper gives it to you. And even then, you're still not able to tell anybody else. I believe you can give a note to someone else if you are the secret keeper, and that note can let the other person know what the address of the place is or whatever. But being the secret keeper is the only way, you know? And immediately James picked Sirius because Sirius is his best friend. But Sirius didn't think that was a good idea, even though Sirius would die for James and Lily and Harry. For some reason, he thought, what if they were able to get into his mind and take their information forcefully or whatever? Oh, also, I must say that Dumbledore also said that he would do it. Like I said, James insisted on it being Sirius. But like I was saying, since Sirius thought that might be too obvious, he suggested that Peter be the secret keeper. And unbeknownst to him, that was the worst decision he could have possibly made. Because the entire time, without any of them knowing, Peter was a mole. He was working for Voldemort. Not under loyalty, not because he believed in Voldemort's cause. He was working for him purely out of cowardice, purely out of fear. And once Peter was made Secret Keeper, he went to go tell Voldemort immediately, which is when Voldemort then goes to kill the Potters. And as we all know, he failed to kill Harry. But it gets worse than that. No, not only does Peter set up his friends, not only does Peter ruin his best friend's life and not care at all about their literal child. He doesn't even own up to what he did once Sirius catches him. He doesn't turn himself in. He doesn't go into hiding and announce that it was him or whatever. He doesn't officially go join Voldemort. No. What he does is he fakes his death and frames Sirius for killing a bunch of muggles, therefore making everyone think that Sirius was the one that killed the Potters, and he's the one that betrayed them to Voldemort. Because what I didn't tell you earlier is that no one else knew the switch for Secret Keepers was changed besides the Potters, Sirius, and Peter. Even Dumbledore didn't know. And if they would have filled Dumbledore in on their plan, it could have been sorted out immediately with Sirius not going to jail, because there's no possible way he would even know. And after Peter did this, he turned into a rat for 12 years straight, being extremely freaky actually, and living with the Weasleys and sleeping with boys. I mean, hold on. It's weird, but I said that the wrong way. I mean, he was a rat, like literally sleeping together with Ron, because, you know, hey, look, dude's weird and extremely evil. Now fast forward to what we were talking about earlier in Prisoner of Azkaban. Peter gets caught and he's outed for who he truly is. He's not Scabbers, he's not Ron's rat. He's evil, technically Death Eater, who betrayed the Potters all those years ago. And you think now maybe Peter would redeem himself. Just maybe. He might actually go through with his punishment. He might get taken to Azkaban. Sirius might be free. But once again, Peter proves he's an evil dirtbag. He uses Lupin's wand to transform back into a rat and runs away once again. And not only does he run away, he's such a coward that he runs away to try to get Voldemort back into power. And that's what he does all of Goblet of Fire. He ran away back to the person he's scared of most. And you might be telling me now, well, this doesn't necessarily mean he's evil. He's doing this all out of fear. And he's kind of being coerced and forced by the Death Eaters in Voldemort. But if that were true, he never would have went back to Voldemort in the first place and got him back into power. If that were true, he never would have killed Cedric, a teenager who's done nothing to anybody. Killed him for no reason. He didn't argue against it with Voldemort. He killed him mercilessly right there. And remember, you have to have the willpower to do so. You can't do unforgivable curses, mainly Crucio and Avada Kedavra, without having the willpower to do so. You don't necessarily have to be evil per se, but you have to have strong willpower, or I guess be evil and like causing pain to people. And we know Wormtail doesn't have strong willpower. He'll just do anything he has to survive, which is why his death is kind of satisfying and kind of sad at the same time. A man once loved by his friends who got turned into someone everybody hated. Even amongst the Death Eaters, he was looked at as scum. Not only for betraying his friends, but for just being incompetent all around and being a coward. He was loved nowhere and liked by nobody. But we can still compare what he's done compared to the other big bads of the series. First up, we can compare Wormtail to Quirrell. Now, Wormtail is definitely more evil than Quirrell. Quirrell kind of got unlucky, I'm not gonna lie, and he actually did get manipulated by Voldemort. And while he did try to kill Harry, Voldemort was literally on his head, literally telling himself in his ear the entire school year. So, and no excuse, he's still terrible. He's still evil, but I got Wormtail higher than him. Next, we have Lockhart. Lockhart is still evil. He's definitely evil, wiping people's memories and taking credit for their accomplishments. And he tried to do it to Harry and Ron. So, yeah, he's definitely evil, but not as evil as Peter. Goblet of Fire, obviously that's when Voldemort comes back. Unironically, Voldemort does not do the worst things in that book and movie. It's actually Wormtail. So, yeah, that's... wow, he's 4 for 4. Now, Order of the Phoenix is where it starts getting to be like more evil people than just Wormtail being the obvious, like number 1 or whatever. Because we have Umbridge, who a lot of people hate. And even though she is evil, she is a terrible, messed up woman. She's still not worse than Wormtail. She still never killed anybody, which is kind of crazy. I mean, she attempted to with the centaurs, but I mean, it never happened, right? And she was torturing the kids all year. Still though, it's not worse than Wormtail. I'm not gonna lie, it's still not worse than Wormtail. Umbridge might have been evil and seemed like she hated children, unless you followed exactly with her regime, but that's all you gotta do around her. Just follow her regime. With Wormtail, he could turn on you at any minute. I would, like, yeah, like he could literally turn on you. Like I said, with Umbridge, follow her regime, do whatever she wants you to do, and you'll be good. But like, yeah, with Wormtail, nah, he could turn you on any minute, man. Then we got Half-Blood Prince, and he's quiet in this book. He's not really in it except the very beginning with Snape when he's talking to Bellatrix and Narcissa, and he was getting punked on, rightfully so, by Snape.
Run along when
But still at this point, the only other person I would contend him with for evilness is Voldemort. And at this point, it's safe to say that we've seen enough from Voldemort to say that he is the most evil in the entire series. So we don't even really have to go over Deathly Hallows because we already know what happens. We know how many people Voldemort, we don't actually know how many people he kills, but we know it's a lot. And Wormtail doesn't do much. But you could still look at a Wormtail in an extremely evil light. I do a lot. The fact that he can pretend to be your friend, or that he can be your friend for so many years to where you develop a love for him, and then he can just turn on you like that to save his own skin, not even attempt any other way to get through an issue, just instantly gives you up with no problems at all. That's what makes him so evil. That's what makes him so dangerous. You see, Voldemort, no one expects him to be nice to you. No one expects him to be caring for you. No one expects him to love you. You know for sure that he at any time can turn on you. You're kind of expecting him to do so because he's not nice. Voldemort might be evil, but he puts his personality, he puts himself out there directly. While Wormtail, if you don't know anything about him, whole time he could just seem like some sad old man. Or when he was a kid, he could seem like a sad kid that didn't really have any friends. Or when he did make friends, he was still kind of sad. He didn't really have too much going on for him. He wasn't that good at magic. He wasn't the brightest kid in school. And then especially when you compare him to his friends like Sirius and James, you wouldn't even expect anything. And that's exactly how it happened for James and Lily. You see, it's not so simple as he just betrayed them and they died instantly. No, he betrayed them. They figured out immediately that one of their best friends, who they thought loved them and would do anything for them, betrayed them. I'm sure they had a bunch of regrets in that moment, not just going with Sirius. I'm sure they had a bunch of regrets in that moment, not to just listening to Dumbledore and having him as their secret keeper. And I'm sure for them in that moment, even Peter Pettigrew was the most evil person they've ever met. That's all I got for y'all today. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Who do you have as the most evil character in all of Harry Potter? Do you agree that Peter Pettigrew is one of the most evil characters, or am I just chatting?